Well, that report by Sharon definitely helps explain matters a little further. But still with us in the studio is Governor Wike of Rivers State. Well, now let's focus a bit more on some of the comments that your former colleagues have been making. I'm looking at comments that the former Minister for Interior, Abba Moro, has been making. He says that from what he sees, from what they saw at the PDP, at the elections in Anambra State, and the outing of the PDP candidate there, it doesn't look like the party is really ready to come back together.
Well, that is not correct. The mere fact that you lost Anambra State does not mean that the party is not ready to come back. You've known the experiences since PDP in Anambra State. You've known that if there's one state that is so problematic, as far as PDP is concerned, is Anambra State. In fact, for the first time that we even conducted primaries, it has never been the case before. So I don't want to believe that because we lost election in Anambra, therefore, did we not lose election in Ondo State? Did we not lose election in Edo State?
Yeah, but have you been able to examine the manner in which you lost the elections? Because they've talked about impunity. They talked about the imposition of candidates.
No, there's nothing like imposition of candidates. I can tell you that there's nothing like imposition of candidates. The point is that I think what happened in Anambra State was just a fight against an individual, where a lot of people teamed up to say that, look, this man was the governor of his state, then under a different political party, and he moves over to PDP, and that is being given recognition that he ought not to. And we have said, look, that should not be the reason why you will not support your party. Everybody has one reason or the other. But if you're a committed party person, you can't be giving flimsy excuses, because whether you like it or not, there must be one thing or the other. Just like we're talking about this convention today. No committed party member will tell you, if this happens, then this will be the end of PDP. If this does not happen, those are people who are not committed to seeing that the party bounces back. If you're a committed party member, as I am today, nobody that will win this election that will not give support. But if you come to make threats to say, look, if A wins, then this will happen. Obviously, it don't show that you're a committed party member. It don't show that you're loyal to the party.
My colleague in Lagos, my colleagues actually, I should say, have questions for you.
Thank you.
Governor Wike, people are really concerned because when it comes to the party elections and such as the one that you'll be having tomorrow, people are concerned to see if this process and the election itself will come out free, fair and credible, because there are some northern caucus in your party that are already kicking against microzoning of the chairmanship seat. What do you think about that?
Now, let me say this clearly. I am not pessimistic. Looking at the caliber of persons who are in charge of this convention, I'm not pessimistic. I'm very, very optimistic that they're going to do a good job. Now, let me also say something. It's very unfortunate. If a position is zoned to the south, are you saying that if somebody who says you want to run for presidency, a presidential aspirant, so to speak, will now preside over macro-zoning something that was zoned to another region? Certainly not. And that was why. And there was no time they not met to say that, look, they are going to macro-zone to southwest. You see, everybody has his own interest. This is a presidential aspirant who has written letters to individuals that he wants to make himself available for the position of presidency. At the same time, sitting to microzone a position that was zoned to the south to a particular area. What does that tell you? Where his own interest would be. And someone else came up to say, no, you can't do that. We have not done that in the first place. We're not from the south. So how could we sit down to microzone something that was zoned to an area? And people said, we never took that decision. And that is the truth of the matter. If you zone something to the south, how would you sit in the north to microzone when the people of the southern part of the country are supposed to be the ones that will say, okay, we want to microzone this to a particular area? So that position is neither here nor there. And you can see the reality today, that people came to challenge it because it never happened. Look at those who were there, to those who are saying microzoning. Shekarao, who has written to most of us that he wants to run for the presidency of the country. Look at those who are sitting by his left. Mount is one of the campaign managers of President Tunda Deniro. Jerry Ghana is one of the campaign managers of Trinidad. So these are the same people who sat and microzone to the southwest. How possible is that? So in terms of credibility, I have every confidence that those who are in charge of this convention are going to do a good job. The governor of Delta State is in charge. The deputy governor, the deputy chairman is the governor of Taraba State. So, and when you see the membership, there are people who have credibility. And if you just look at all the aspirants, who has been the one writing petitions, who has been the one complaining every time, who has been the one maligning other aspirants. Look at the PDP secretary who has been the one writing petitions. It is the President group. You have never had any day Secondus saying anything against any aspirant. You've never had any day Secondus campaign team writing petition. You've never had any day Secondus to say, look, we don't have confidence in this person. We believe, having done your work very well, if you like, put President as the chairman of the planning convention. If you like, put Bode George as the chairman of the planning convention. It will not change anything because you believe that you have done your work and you are optimistic that those who are for this convention, planning for this convention, will not be biased. So you must give people the opportunity to perform. Not from the onset, you start complaining.
Governor Wike.
And it is only a loser
Governor Wike,
who starts from onset to complain.
My apologies to just butt in here and ask you also, because if you're talking about the extraction from the southwestern part of the country, they are also very interested to see that this goes and swings their way, and they're sinking their teeth into it, everything that they've got. And you know that from history, that region of the country, the southwest, cannot be wished away when it comes to elections such as the chairmanship position of the PDP. Don't you feel that perhaps your hopes and aspirations are a little too high, considering that the southwest is so powerful?
Well, I don't know what you mean by so powerful. If you look at the history of voting as far as PDP is concerned, it has been the South-South that has given the PDP the victory. It has not been the Southwest in terms of election. That does not mean that you don't consider them. In the first place, South-South has also never produced the national chairmanship of this great party. We have never produced it, if that is what people are trying to say, that Southwest has not produced. Look at the pattern of voting. I've heard Bode George saying that a state that has about 7.something million, that is general election. We are talking about chairmanship of the party. What has 7.something million got to do with chairmanship of the party? We are talking about somebody who will rebuild. What if you elect a chairman tomorrow? What is the chairman going to do? Take, for example, if you elect a chairman, if you elect Bode George as a chairman, without going to change the fortune of PDP in Lagos State. We have never won Lagos State. He was the deputy national chairman of the party. The president, when Obasanjo was there, we've never won. So why do you think that because if you're a party chairman, that will not make change the fortunes of PDP in that zone? That's not correct. The South-South, if you check the history since 1999 in terms of voting, you will know that we have always voted for PDP. And that is why today, out of the 6 states in the South-South, 5 is PDP. So you cannot say which such a zone away.